As planned, I'm back after 3 GT7 content updates. Actually 4, because of poor planning. The question arises, do 4 content updates fix the problems with GT7? The short answer is no, but the long answer is, join me for the continuing adventures of the current state of Gran Turismo 7 as of the October update. Tonight I'll be going through the 13 cars and 3 track layouts added to the game since July. The fastest way to make money, sometimes, every second week. Fun with engine swaps in a Lancia Delta. Idling in a Jeep and watching the shadows move. Appreciating cars that I've only just saved up enough to afford. And AI doing AI things. For those just tuning in now, my mission to produce the most thorough and comprehensive review and chronicle of Gran Turismo 7's lifespan in the world has produced 2 half-hour videos so far. You don't have to go back and watch them now, I'm going to bring you up to speed before the end of this lap of Tsukuba. GT7 Review Part 1 focused on my experiences playing the PS4 version of the game for the first 13 days of its launch. I was very excited, of course, hugely excited. I had been waiting for this game for years, and I finished the campaign in 6 days. I thought, oh no, it's another really short one like GT6, but of course I knew there were updates coming, which is why I planned to do quarterly installments from then. With a few hundred hours more experience from March to July, GT7 Review Part 2 told of the changes made to the game from the 30-hour server outage in March to Watkins Glen and the return of the Escudo in June, and where the game might go from there. And so, it's time to park this Ferrari and say, wow, I finally got a stock road car under a minute. And more importantly, the July content update. The first car added is the Porsche 918 Spider, finally making its way to Gran Turismo, after being in various other games since 2013, and actually the concept was in Hot Pursuit in 2010. But yes, it's 2022 and Gran Turismo has a 918 Spider as well. You can challenge its record at the Nürburgring, although be warned, you only have 1 lap to do so because on the second lap the battery will be empty. The Ferrari LaFerrari does not have this problem. The battery lasts for several laps at the Nürburgring. I don't know if that's realistic because I'm not a billionaire. Now to Maserati, the long-established maker of Italian sports cars. They've been around for 108 years, and in the Brand Central section of GT7, there are links to videos on the Ghibli GT Hybrid, the Maserati MC20, well that'd be nice, even this classic Maserati A6. Of course, you can't actually get any of these cars in Gran Turismo. For 12 years, the only choice has been the 2008 Gran Turismo S and which shade of blue to get it in. Blue Nettuno or Blue Oceano. Or other colours. Giallo Gran Turismo is the namesake. But what about Blue Mediterraneo? That's beautiful. But so is Blue Malago and Blue Sebring. And now there are more choices because finally, the second Maserati ever added to Gran Turismo is the A6 GCS/53 Spider by Carrozzeria Pantuzzi, chassis number 2078 if you happen to care. I don't, of course. Concourse is not my scene. I don't go to Pebble Beach and chortle with millionaires about their investment portfolios and eat oysters, but I can now appreciate, as with all the masses, this lovely car, which won the Pebble Beach Gran Turismo Award in 2014. It was announced during the time of GT6 that it was coming to Gran Turismo soon. And like the Roads to Shop Rampage, soon became 8 years. I suppose we'll get the Cunningham C4R next year. That was the 2015 winner. But let's just focus on what we've got, hey? A beautiful mid-50s Maserati that costs 2.9 million credits, and what can you do with it? Might pull up in the Maserati, maybe the Ducati's a motorbike. There's no motorbikes in the game, there should be, but anyway. You might want to take the Maserati to that one classic car endurance mission in the human comedy. Of course, they don't pay well, they're extremely difficult. This mission's open to cars up to the 70s, you need a suspension tune, and forget it. Now the third car. This belongs here. This puts a smile on my face. It's got a big red wing. It's got a stripped out interior. It's got a noisy turbo engine. It is the gorgeous, the wonderful and legendary Nissan R30 Skyline Super Silhouette of 1984 that hasn't been in Gran Turismo since its sole appearance in Gran Turismo 2, released over 22 years ago in December 1999 or January 2000 for us in the PAL region. It's a great car, but just the circumstances of it being here are amazing. This is a unique and exceptional case. It's the first time that any car in Gran Turismo history has skipped a generation and come back, let alone, in this case, 2 generations. Every car that was in a PS1 Gran Turismo game and is still in the series today was in GT4 and then ported to 5 and 6. So now that we've got a precedent for PD going really far into their back catalogue, maybe there's the off chance that the Renault Espace F1, the Vector W8, twin-engine Suzuki Coltis Pikes Peak could return. Tom's Angel T01, I mean that's very obscure, but maybe it's possible now that this car's back. But we need not daydream. Look at what we have now. Appreciate this car and its ability to spew orange flames. When the lights go out, it's at the Spa 24-hour race, well, the 1 hour 24-hour race to simulate whatever. The Spa Endurance with the R30 is a lot of fun. Those blue backfires are nice, but mine's better. Unfortunately, you can't really see it in the daylight at all. And the simple caveman part of my brain would much rather see than hear unspent fuel exploding. Interestingly, this classic race car was added to the game's Group 3, which means 2 things. It has a lot of uses, both in single-player events and online, and that Group 3 is now a really bizarre fruit salad, as are Group 4, 2 and 1. I do really like the variety, but I would also really like some smaller subcategories for closer racing in groups that make sense. Car categorization is a problem that's all throughout the game, and I've talked about it before. How about something new? The July update finally brought with it quick messages. No longer do you have to pause the game, go into the chat box, and type LOL. Well, you still can do that, but you also have heaps and heaps of options for preset messages returning from GT Sport, for pre- and post-race discussion, even mid-race if you're not doing well and just want to talk to another DJ Max fan. Great choice of driver name there, Voldenwee. It's a very fun track to play in DJ Max Respect. Wow, we're getting off topic. How about single-player content? The new races added in the July update were the Neo Classic competition, 3 10-lap races open to anything from the 80s and 90s, where the Escudo isn't even the best pick because it has terrible fuel consumption and Group C cars are still faster. It's just not a very fun overtaking parade. The other one is the Hypercar Parade, which is also an overtaking parade, but more fun, I guess. Finally gives a use to the Jaguar Vision GT Roadster, which is kind of overpowered here. In the event at Yamagiwa plus Miyabi, you can find out the true meaning of FXXK. This Ferrari shouldn't even be eligible for this event. It's classed as a road car for no good reason in GT7, so is the Aston Martin Vulcan. And yet the McLaren P1 GTR and Pagani Zonda R are race cars not eligible for this event, even though they're both slower than the Ferrari. Whatever. How about Scapes? Gran Turismo 7 is still the best car photography game in the world. It can produce utterly beautiful images at thousands of locations around the world. And in July they added Tomika Town and some other Scapes set on the island of Shikoku, but Tomika Town is very bizarre and noteworthy. Of course, Tomika was the sponsor of the R30 Silhouette Skyline. You can line your one up with the toy model. And you can spot a Lexus LFA Nürburgring package that was last seen in Gran Turismo 6. Come back, LFA! Come back! Anyway, there are other Tomika Scapes in Tomika Town. You can drive a little F40 past a giant truckload of chips and pandas and a hamburger. I don't even know. And the last thing I can tell you about our good chum Super Silhouette is that it was also the star of one of the game's online time trials, which I briefly mentioned in part 2, but didn't get around to explaining. You drive a specified car around a specified track, and the reason this is different to a super license test is that you don't restart every lap, it's only available for 2 weeks, it's got a big credit prize, and it's much harder. Because the target times here are, for the first time in series history, not set by the developers, but by the community. You have to get within 110, 105 or 103% of the world record for medals. And while this silver and 244th on the leaderboard looks good now, that was 26 minutes after it started. By the next day that was a bronze, and every day after that, as the aliens and speed champions of the world find more and more tenths, the medals get further and further away. So far I've bagged myself 4 bronze worth 250,000 credits each, 4 silver for 1 million credits, and only 1 gold with the top 2 million credit prize. And that gold lap was this one here in the Honda Civic Type R at Trial Mountain. Now, it helps when it's a track I love and I'm willing to put the time in, but I think it helped me more in this case that I was just driving a Civic Type R, not a high downforce racing car. It's a lot easier to meet the potential of a slower car. Also, music replay with a William Tell overture. That makes your lap look fast. Also the stickers. Putting a tourist trophy sticker on your car makes it faster. Now, this is my opinion, but Gran Turismo Sport is an undeniably better game for hot lapping at Mount Panorama. It's got no V8 supercars and no car rental. Yeah, well, it's not all about the V8 supercars. The car rental time trial features. Yeah, but you've got to grind we actually save times. Oh, they're still scrolling, I know. Let the grown-ups take care of it, eh? Yeah, how you going anyway? What took you so long? What are you talking about? Well, I mean, I gave you a 5-year head start. Well, and how many cars you got? 430. That's less than 700. Well, why couldn't you do 700 cars? We haven't. And have you got Bathurst with V8 supercars? We have Bathurst with 24-hour time. Oh, 24-hour time's nice, yeah, but have you got any Australian cars at all? We've got an atmospheric particle simulation. That sounds like a no. Do you have Holdens or Aussie Fords? No, I don't. Or Goggomobile? Don't you interrogate me. I was joking about Goggomobile. Forza 7, you're not even for sale anymore. Hey, you've been delisted for over a year and are no longer relevant. The next Forza's gonna kick... The August Content Update. That is in fact not the sound of a chainsaw going through a wasp nest, but the sound of a 1.5 litre turbo V6 built by Honda for the McLaren MP44 of 1988, the final year of the turbo 80s. With turbo pressure limited to 2.5 bar, it makes only a sensible 675 horsepower. It has technically appeared in Gran Turismo before, albeit unlicensed, in Gran Turismo 3 as the Polyphony 002 or F688S. But now that it's here with its real name in Gran Turismo 7, the real McLaren inflation simulator, you can expect to pony up 8 million credits in the legendary car dealership. 8 million? It's still only the 4th most expensive McLaren in the game. So let that sink in. Keep in mind as well that if you hadn't recently won a lot of money from circuit experience or online time trials, to get 8 million credits, you'll need to win either the Tokyo or the other grind race that takes half an hour 10 times. So you're looking at a 5-hour grind, or by microtransactions, 120 Australian dollars for some insane reason. $120 for 4 $30 2 million credit packs. I know the reason really, it's unmitigated greed. It's absolutely disgusting and I encourage you not to do it. And just think, for $120 you could buy a used copy of Forza Motorsport 7 to test drive this car in, an actual metal model of the car and 2 barbecue trucks. What is more reasonable? Car number 2 of this update is the Porsche Cayman GT4, not the GT4 Club Sport that's dancing here. That was already in GT Sport and GT7. No, not the racing car, but the road car. It's blue and... hold on, this is a Porsche 550 Spider. My footage of the Cayman GT4 has disappeared, but anyway, like this much older, much more expensive 4.5 million credit Porsche, the Cayman GT4 also comes in blue and is mid-engined and naturally aspirated, and quite fun and very much like a racing car. Also, don't knock over braking marker boards because they'll hit you back. Another blue, old legendary car recently acquired is the Ferrari 500 Mondial. Is it worth collecting? If you're a car collector, yeah. If you want a 4-cylinder Ferrari from the 50s that's not fast and not even red, I mean, sure, it's got some history to it. How about the Jaguar D-Type? It's a car that was in sport, and I couldn't afford it then, but can now because it's a bit cheaper, and oh, it's a beautiful car. You know what's more beautiful? The same car with the same fin, at Bathurst with crepuscular rays. Look at the sky! Oh. Anyway, the third car is a 1969 Pontiac GTO. The Judge. The Pontiac GTO had been in production for a few years, but the Judge was introduced in 1969 specifically to compete with the Plymouth Roadrunner in the reasonably priced muscle cars with high performance and even higher personality segment. Because it was, what a time to be alive. There were muscle cars for every purpose. Big ones, small ones, bright ones, ones with big wings. But anyway, here's a custom race on the fantastic Blue Moon Bay Infield B. A Roval layout and one of about 20 track layouts in GT7 that is not used at any point in the campaign because they didn't get around to it. Also, the track lights don't work yet, so this is one of the majority of Gran Turismo 7's tracks that doesn't have 24-hour time. The time cycle just ends here, at sunset. On the plus side, I can still see my GTO's well-lit, hood-mounted tachometer, which makes me happy. Ostensibly, it exists to keep the driver's eyes on the road, but really it's to make them feel cool, as with the rest of the car. This August update also added 3 new Barcelona-Catalunya variants, so now you can finally race it without the disgusting chicane. And you can also race the shorter national course. That's 2 more layouts, and the third you would think would be the national course without the chicane, but no, it is Rallycross. Rallycross? Yes! The real-world Catalunya Rallycross track is in Gran Turismo 7. How very intriguing! It's the first Rallycross track in series history and the first dirt/snow track added since the launch of GT Sport in October 2017. So we were definitely due for some more dirt. Of course, we're definitely due for some snow. The section's called dirt/snow, guys. You remember how Gran Turismo Sport had snow tyres and no snow track? GT7 still has no snow track and they just took the snow tyres off the menu. And of course we're still waiting on Pikes Peak, but enough about what we're waiting for. The Catalunya Rallycross track. It's very tight and twisty. This is one of the 2 events they added for the track, and once you've played that, your 14 minutes with the track will be all over. Of course, unless you want to drive around it in time trial. I've tried setting laps here in a GR Yaris, the Escudo Pikes Peak car, lots of things. It's definitely not my new go-to place for testing a car on dirt. Nope, that's still Fisherman's Ranch. But it's variety, and variety is the spice of Turismo. There's one more thing to talk about with this August update, and it relates to the De Tomaso Mangusta. Now, the Mangusta was added to Gran Turismo 7's launch car list. It was one of the first cars announced for the game. It was in the reveal trailer in 2020. And I knew right from that point, ooh, GT7's going to be good because it's got another De Tomaso in it, and the Mangusta doesn't get the appreciation it so much deserves. It's not just a poor man's Lamborghini Miura that happens to be rarer than a Lamborghini Miura. Anyway, to quote McKeel Haggerty's Floating Head, now we have a very interesting chapter added to the history of the Mangusta. Introducing a Gran Turismo original, the Mangusta Christian Dior. This car was created in collaboration with the famous French couture house Christian Dior. I'd stop there. Christian Dior the man built a reputation for himself making some very swanky dresses in the 1940s and 50s and then died suddenly of a heart attack. Christian Dior, the fashion house, is not so much a house and more of a $1,000,000,000 golden tower these days that sits atop a $1,000,000,000 marble citadel called Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, owned by French ex-Benedillionaire Bernard Arnault. Famous French couture house is a funny way of saying immense circle that is winning the Agario game of luxury goods. Now let us continue the description. The aim of Dior here was to infuse the sports car with its elegant brand essence. Really? I thought it was a nice car already, but brand essence doubles the price. You can have a regular Mangusta for 245,000 credits, or this one for 500,000 because brand essence. It's tan, with a monotone grey stripe, number, and Dior logo. It reminds me of the designs on those really cheap cars from the dollar shop that have no brand, and yet this is a Dior product, so yeah, like a bottle of Sauvage, it's extremely overpriced. And it's still the hot car in the Legend car dealership in December. It's been sitting there since August. Thankfully it doesn't count for car collection because it's not a car, it's an ad. If I want to drive a car with a livery based on a product made by a multinational corporation, there's the showcase for that, where people who are very passionate about making liveries for KFC. There are so many KFC liveries out there. Someone even made a Zinger Diablo. Now that's a spicy design, but it's a wide body design, and I don't want to do that irreversible process to my 900,000 credit Diablo. I need to go get a second one at some point. Anyway, the KFC 86 is the same. It's for a wide body. Here, that's cheap because it's a cheap car, but again, irreversible. So you need to set another car aside. But once you do that and you apply the style, yes, you have to pay a bit more, but you're not paying a tax on the design because of a paid collaboration. You're paying for body kits and wheels, and sometimes paint colours. The aim of Naho 104S here was to infuse the sports car with KFC's finger-licking good brand essence. I think that's MSG. And on a whole, I think they've succeeded. This is a more aesthetically pleasing, more grounded and relatable car than the Dior Mangusta, and it's under 60,000 credits to build. The September Content Update. Introducing the Porsche VGT Spider, which is the same as the 1000 horsepower electric Porsche VGT, but a roofless monoposto design. Did Jaguar do the exact same thing better in March? Yes. But the Porsche comes stock with racing hard tyres, even though it's a road car, so it'll go fast around corners. When you're going fast, the range is under 90 kilometers, but if you cruise, you can push it up to 240. Yeah, this car is useless for any event with fuel usage. You also can't drive it against any other car in a custom race. But you can have it as an opponent in a custom race if you're not driving in a car that has the can't race against anything else restriction. So I can have several Porsche VGTs on the grid and race against them, but I can't race as them. I don't get it. I don't know why. Car number 2 is different because it's a Volkswagen. It's also fast and electric, but it's real, and it's a time trial beast. By the way, I'm still waiting on an update to increase the collector level to 500 or something. 50 is reached very quickly, long before you get anywhere near collecting all the cars. Back to the ID, full stop R, it is very fast. Very, very fast because that is its purpose. Its mission is to set electric car lap time records. It's had quite a lot of success at the Goodwood Hill Climb, although their McMurtry Sperling has taken away its electric car record quite thoroughly. This is the version of the car that ran round the Nürburgring to set the electric car record there. Not the 2018 version with the bigger wing that set the record at Pikes Peak, which still isn't in the game. And just not think about that for a moment. I don't think about that or the Nürburgring. I'm trying to set an electric car record at Bathurst. A 155 is not a number you see every day. Obviously, there are more seconds to shave off. Now, the third and final car in this update is something much cheaper and much more Gran Turismo-like. An S14 Silvia K's. You may know it better as a Nissan 200SX, or in America a Nissan 240SX, but that's different because it has a bigger engine that's not turbo. Nissan Silvias are very complicated. Another complication is that, despite S14 Silvias appearing in every numbered Gran Turismo, this exact model has never appeared before. It comes with sports hard tyres, and if you, like me, think that it would be better on comfort softs, you can change them at the race shop, which I haven't mentioned yet, but I think it was added in either the June or July updates, and it's definitely one of the most helpful navigational features. Saves you a lot of menu poking around. It's a good thing there's a cheap car here to offset the other 1 and 2 million credit cars introduced in this update. In fact, any car they add under 900,000 credits pushes the average car price down. So ridiculous are things at the other end. I haven't mentioned yet, but the previous update had another Haggerty's price adjustment. So this 300SL went up another 7 million to the ceiling. Great, now I'll never buy it. Nor the McLaren F1, nor the Porsche 917K. Maybe the Alfa 8C, eventually. Oh, and if you didn't buy the 911 GT1 earlier, it has gone from 3 million to 3.3 million to 9 million now because Ha sucked in. That's actually really horrible. Why would you do this to us? September is one of those months without a track, so at least there's events, right? So you can earn some money to buy that 911... No, once again, we have very low paying events. The Silvia Sisters is an event that could have been in the early part of the campaign, although it's being released a long time afterwards. I understand there's a large portion of the user base are casual players who will only launch it twice. So I don't know why they're being catered to, because they've already left and will never play the game again. But if you're an enthusiast, well, you might appreciate all the many different Silvias that are in this event. There's some good attention to opponents, but it boggles the mind that this campaign is in such a dire state with nothing new to do since April in terms of grinding. Alright, this bowl represents the campaign, these Fruit Loops are events. It is a lot less full than I would have expected. そうですね。それではここに解決策があります。And what is that solution?
アップデート。
Okay. That didn't...
Gran Turismo アップデ
This
ート。
doesn't appear to be doing much.
見てください。ボールはやがていっぱいになります。
The October Content Update. Well, there goes my plan of doing one review for every 3 updates. The first car in this update is another MX-5, another ND MX-5. And unfortunately for variety, it has the same engine as the other one. I'm still waiting on a 2-litre ND MX-5 with much more power to arrive, but this one at least comes in some new colours, and it has a roll cage for racing, and it being a 2022 model, it apparently has a fancy rear-wheel braking system that helps with traction while making turns, but it's very hard to notice this. I bought a second one and turbo-tuned it into as fast a race car as I could for the Le Mans grind, which is still the grind. In other news, a third Maserati! The magnificent Maserati Merak SS. What a beautiful model. I mean, it's a beautiful car, but this is just a triumph of 3D modelling and leather texturing and glass, and it really looks outstanding in cockpit view. The third car in the October update is an updated GTR Nismo GT3 that costs more because it can. And how is it different again? The description says, the engine has been moved lower and further back, and the driver's seat is lower. And there's aero differences all about. The body kit is totally different. It's a lot of difference for a car that looks the same. I made my own paint job for it, since the one that's on it is fictional anyway. Yes, here I am having fun jumping the Puma into a duct. It's funny because the Puma's gonna get sucked into the duct when the car moves. Here's a fourth car. Yes, fourth. It's the first update with more than 3 cars, and the fourth one is the Ken Merry GTR. Famous for being exceedingly rare. While over 600,000 C110 Skylines were made, only 197 KPGC 110 GTRs were made for a very short time in 1973. Mostly because high-performance cars quickly fell out of favour due to the massively increasing price of oil and therefore petrol. Being a very rare, fast sedan for the road of the 70s, it's a bit like the Japanese equivalent of the Ford Falcon XY GTHO Phase 3, although that car raced and this GTR did not. And that's the 4 cars of October, the month that broke the pattern. See, going by what they'd done before, every second month was adding track layouts, and every second track layout month added a new location. October should have been where a location was added, but it was delayed to November. That location turned out to be Road Atlanta, but that's not part of the scope of this review. And I said before I'd tell you about the fun of the Lancia Delta. It is a fun car to drive with a GTR Nismo engine in it. It does not like stopping, but it's fun until you hit a wall. Especially in October, because the September update, the end of the month before, massively increased mechanical damage, so that when you hit a wall on the left, your car will be strongly pulled to the right for the next 30 seconds or so. Then, the late October update reversed that again, so it's always odd and hard to keep up with. The updates have recently been adding more engine swaps too. I've never seen an Audi TT hit 340 km per hour outside of Forza, but it can with an Audi R8's V8. Here's a crazier swap though. Your eyes are not deceiving you. It's a twin-turbo 13B in a Suzuki Cappuccino. And if 300 odd horsepower is not enough, you can squeeze much more out. At which point, the Cappuccino becomes... well, it's not really a cappuccino anymore. It's 10 shots of espresso in a cup. It's a rotary-powered ballistic missile. It's utter madness. And for some reason, it's only acquirable through rare lottery tickets, because the engine swaps in this game are all still locked behind the roulette system. Those who didn't exploit a glitch months ago and acquire dozens of engines only have maybe one chance a month. The daily login tickets have an extremely low chance of winning an engine. They'll tease you with them, but the rate appears to be about 1%. So when your chance does roll around and you get an all-engine ticket, there's then a good chance that you'll win an engine that you don't really want. I've won the Hellcat engine, that's great, but I've got 5 now. Of course, spare a thought for those with very few or no engines at all. But I've played this game a whole lot, and no amount of playing it will acquire you an engine any faster. It's all luck. I don't know when I'll win the Escudo engine that you can put in an Evo 10, which is an amazing thing I'd like to do. I don't know when I'll win the LS7 to put into a DeLorean, but I know I'll probably continue winning carbon brake discs. Really? Why? Why a brake surprise? Brakes for specific cars. You have such a low chance of getting the brakes you want. It's just an insult. When it comes to flaws in Gran Turismo 7, things like being spun out by the AI or receiving a bunch of dumb prizes every day as your login bonus are nothing compared to just the major thing. The lack of stuff to do. As I said in part 2 and even part 1, it's a game that can be finished in a very short time. It doesn't have any events for the IB, IA or S licenses. The curated experience of the cafe just abruptly ends about 18 hours in, when you've finished your first 5 race championship. That's it. There have been no more championships added. There have been no more music rallies added. They've been saying coming soon since March. The championships, the cafe books, and every optional race only add up to 165 events as of the end of November, a figure surpassed by Gran Turismo 2, 3, 4, 5, even Sport had 301. There's only one race over half an hour long, It's one of the 4 that actually has a decent payout. And if you do those 4 races with a decent payout, 110 times each, you still won't have enough money for every car. And I love all the cars in this game. I'd really love to see some of the ones that are just teased in menus. Why are there pictures of all these Daihatsus I can't have? Where's this shoe car I was promised 17 years ago? But the cars that I can drive are fantastic. Such a shame they're in such a half-cooked game. It's not all doom and gloom. There are things I love about GT7. I just love to sit down and drive in it. I love to hot lap. I love to look back at how far this game has come in terms of visuals and physics within my lifetime. The driving experience is better than it's ever been. The gaming experience has made some major mistakes, but they've been making some major improvements too. This review doesn't cover November, but November was the month they added selling cars back into the game, and that fixed a big problem. Getting some credits for duplicate cars is certainly a lot better than deleting them. It's a step in the right direction, and adding Road Atlanta, another new location, was another step in the right direction. Of course, I long for more original circuits. The new reinterpretations have been great so far. We've got 3 out of 8 of the core tracks that have made the most appearances. Seeing some of those again would make me smile, or better yet, something like Pikes Peak, something like Tahiti, Red Rock Valley, something that hasn't been seen in a really long time. That would catch my attention. But perhaps I should just step away from GT7 and return to the older games for a while. Just launching GT7 every 2 weeks to do online time trials and just abandoning it in favour of other games that won't just drain my time and energy in search of another expensive car. I think my time would be better served playing Gran Turismo 2 again as an adult to see how different it is to when I was 4. I think a bit of both. A bit of old GT and a little bit more playing the new one over the next few months to see what else they can do to make it better. I'll see you again after the game has its first birthday for Gran Turismo 7 Review Part 4. Thank you for watching, and thank you for helping me reach 1,111 subscribers and beyond over the last 10 years.